Hi guys, thanks for stopping by. So I am just going to wire wrap a couple beads on camera for you guys. I had gotten some messages that some people wanted to see me wire wrap beads because they haven't gotten the hang of it, and they'd like to know how to do that. So I actually tried to film this already one time, but I didn't realize that it had gone out of frame. So that's not super helpful for this. Um, and yeah, so I'm going to wire wrap a couple and just kind of show you what I do. This might not be the perfect way or the, like the master way to do this, but this is how I do it. And maybe it will be helpful to you. So the first way that I do it is if you don't want anything to be if you don't want anything to be hanging from the bead that you're going to wrap, I guess, you only need one end to have a loop. So then what I do is I cut a wire. Almost any bead, like a bubblegum bead, is going to be about 4 inches of wire needed. And this is whether you're going to make a bead like this that has 2 hoops on the end, or whether you're going to make one that's 1 hoop on the end. You'll just cut a little bit of off of one side when you're done, but that'll make your life easier, even though you'll waste like a tiny bit of wire. Is if you just like always cut it around 4 inches. If you're doing a stack of beads or like a word that is very long, then you'll want to add length accordingly to your wire. But maybe initially just try this way so that you can get a feel for how long the wire needs to be in any given situation. So like I said, this one, we're going to say that we don't want to hang anything from this bead. We just want it to hang from maybe like a chain or something. So right here on the end, I'm going to like barely put it, maybe half or just a tiny bit more than half, inside of the pinch of the pliers, and I'm going to fold it over like this, almost going around. See? And then I'm going to pinch it. It might try to turn in your hand, so just try to hold it as best as you can, and you might have to do it a couple times. I would probably recommend, when you're first starting to do this, to use regular like silver or gold wire. This is 20 gauge, and it's just wire that you find at Joann's. It's maybe about $6 a roll, and you get a lot. It's 8 yards, my bad. It's 20 gauge Hildy and Joe copper wire, 8 yards, 7.3 meters, and they have different colors and stuff. But the reason that I say when you're first starting to maybe start with a silver wire is because this one, the more you scrape it with your pliers, the color can scrape off. So I'm trying to find a part where I scraped it off, because even having done this for a little bit of time, I still get places where it scratches off. Like, see right there, that how it's silver and not orange? That's from me scraping the wire with the pliers. And it's really easy to do. Like, it's kind of common to accidentally scratch your wire, unless you're like super awesome, which I guess I'm not at that level yet. So I have picked this bead. It's just a clear bead, and actually I kind of don't like this one, so I'm going to pick a different bead, maybe one of these gray ones. It's just a seed bead, but it's kind of thick so that it will block the hole in this bead and prevent this from falling off the end of the wire. So I've just placed that on the bottom there. I want it to be symmetrical, so I'm going to add an additional bead on the top, and then I'm allowing, let me see, probably roughly a 1/4 inch, and you can eyeball it. If you don't trust yourself to eyeball it, you can like hold it against your ruler or whatever, but I mostly just eyeball it. And so I would estimate that that's about a 1/4 inch, and you want to bend your wire at a 90-degree angle. Then you're going to take, oh, okay, wait, I'm going to stop for a second because I didn't mention this in this video. Okay, so when I first started, I was using just a regular flat pair of needle nose pliers to try to do this, and I was having a very hard time, and you could tell that I was a novice at wire wrapping beads. After I had wrapped them and you would see them, you would know that I'm not like good at it. And the reason is because with wire wrapping beads, I think it's essential that you have the proper tools. There are some ways that we as crafters can cut corners and not use the specialized tools for certain things, but this is one of those situations where I think it's necessary that you make the investment and you buy the proper tools in order to be able to do this and master this, or even just not be frustrated and for it to look like somebody chewed on your wire. So the first thing is these pliers that have the bent end on them. See? They're like bent down like this. And then the second is these that have a round, round parts right here. These I want to say I bought at Joann's. They were not extremely expensive. I think between $10 to $13 each one. So it is a slight investment, but it's something that is really going to help you out a lot and save you an immense amount of frustration, and also help you not to damage your wire when you're doing this, so that you have a more beautiful end product. Anyways, so back to the lesson. You're going to bend this wire at more or less 90 degrees, and then you're going to hold it inside of the round nose pliers, and then bring your loose end all the way around, and as best as you can, push it down right next to the wire that you have. And I usually lay it next to it on the side that's close to the opening of the pliers. That's up to you, but that's just what I do. So this bead is kind of big, so I can't like necessarily lay it flat. So then at this point, I'm going to pinch on my pliers and then turn your wrist as much as I can. I'm trying to show you this, so let me back out so you can see this motion. But you're actually going to turn your wrist as if you were maybe turning a knob or something. So you're holding onto the pliers, I'm holding onto the bead and slightly pulling it downward so it doesn't get in the way. And I'm going to rotate this around so that my, see how that's more or less centered? And then I'm just going to help this wire the rest of the way with my finger. And then because there's quite a bit left right now on this wire, I can just do this with my hand, or you can use your other bent nose pliers to wrap this around. And I like to do 3 around. So that's that. So I'm going to stop and take my wire cutters, and as close as you can to where that wire meets the wrap or the post, cut this off. And try not to scratch your bead. But you'll have a teeny tiny little bit hanging out. Like, oh, come on, camera. Okay, hold on. I'm going to get it to focus so you can see this. See how it's hanging out? I don't like to leave it like that because inevitably somebody is going to get scratched or get a small lesion from this. And so I think the easiest thing is to stick your round nose pliers back in there all the way to where this is all the way down on the post. Oops. All the way down on the post. You guys, just yell at me when I go out of frame, okay? And then we're going to basically pinch it and slightly angle down. With colored wire, I suggest that you don't just hold and turn. But with silver wire, as you're a beginner, you can totally just clamp down, like not super hard, but like so that it's holding it nice and snug, and just rotate your pliers like this around, and your wire should follow, and then be tight around the post of your little twist here. See, and so I would consider that done. This is probably not going to scratch anybody. It's feeling pretty smooth in my fingers right now. So that's all I want. And see, these seed beads are big enough that they block the hole of the bubblegum bead, and this bead is not going to fall off. And I can attach it to a chain here. You'll have to open the link of the chain to put this on, and then you have a closed end here, because my intent is to just have this be like a dangling charm. I'm not going to add anything on the other end. So then the next version that I'm going to show you is like this, where it has two loops, one on each side, one where it will attach to your dangle or earring or whatever, and then one where you're going to hang a different charm or bead from it. So I'm going to pick, just based on my beads here, I think I'm going to pick purple for this one, maybe, or green. I think I did the other one green, so let's do purple. Okay, and oh my gosh. Okay, so again, I would say this is probably 5/8 or so, a little under half an inch of how much I'm bending like this. And you're just going to bend it in an L-shaped, like a 90-degree angle, and then put this right in the crook of that 90-degree angle and bend this all the way around until it's lying right next to the other piece of wire, just like that. And then I'm going to rotate it, and I'm holding this side. You don't have to do that, but I think it makes it easier. And then I'm doing it so that it ends up being centered. See, that's more or less centered. Really, it's good enough. And then you can push it a little bit. So this one, I actually didn't leave enough room to do it with my finger, so I am going to use the pliers. And don't beat yourself up, because initially it's a little bit difficult. I like to hold it closer to myself, one because I have not great vision, but the other because when I'm doing it like this, I can't see this that well. It's like away from me. So if I'm look like I don't know what I'm doing, part of it is because I can't see as well when I'm right under the camera so that you guys can see. So I am doing it this way, not because it's the most efficient, but because it's the best angle I can get for the camera. Okay, and then if you ever accidentally like bend the wire like askew, I just hold it like this and then slightly put your bent nose pliers like this and right on top of the knot like this, and just kind of pinch slightly, and it'll pack your coil down. Okay, and I'm going to just again like pinch it, slightly angle it, pinch again, until you've followed that wire, guided that wire all the way around, see? And now it's like snug against this wire, and it's not going to scratch anybody or catch on something potentially, like once your dangle is hanging on something. It's not going to scratch whatever that is. Alright, so then I've added my bead on. Maybe you want to add something between the bead. For example, one of those seed beads. I think I'm going to do just that. Like so. Because it has such a big hole that it kind of eats the whole coil. And I would prefer not to do that. And then to make it match, I'm going to add another seed bead right on the top. And then I'm going to bend the wire at approximately 1/4 inch over at a 90-degree angle. I'm going to get my round nose pliers and bring this wire all the way around and over and lay it as close as I can next to the original wire right here. Okay, that's as far as it goes because it is a fat bead. So now I'm going to turn my wrist slightly so that this is more or less center like that, and then I'm going to help it get further over, and this is a long enough end that I can guide this with my finger initially so that I don't have to slip and potentially scratch my colored wire. And I'm just going to coil this, and you want to try to guide it as close to your post. Okay, once it starts getting short, it kind of pokes you, and it might hurt or like scratch your skin. If you don't want it to do that at the point where it starts to kind of poke you, I would switch and stick your round nose pliers into that loop, as you know, fit it down as snug as it can, and then I've already wrapped it 3 times, so I'm going to cut this wire as close to the post as I can without scratching my bead. And these, I don't know what I cut with these, but it slightly damaged my pliers, so I do need to get new ones, but they still work, so you know, I haven't gotten new ones. And then you're just going to pinch and slightly rotate and pinch until your wire is nice and snug around your post. Sorry if I went out of frame there. And then you'll end up with this. And so those are the 2 different versions. If you want to watch it again, maybe replay the video, and hopefully I did a better job of staying in frame this time. I will take a look at it, but hopefully this helped somebody. And if you need any help, my DMs are open on Instagram, and you can shoot me a message and I can see if I can help you. But yeah, hopefully I can help someone out with this video, and thank you for watching it if you're still here bearing with me, and I'll catch you on the next one.